Pretty much from the time I was 4 on, I was abused, so not just physically but mentally. Yeah, I wasn't ever going to be anything. I was fat. The physical abuse was pretty severe. I was beat with fan belts out of a car. When I finally got away from that, I went from relationship to relationship and let them beat on me too, because I thought that's how it was supposed to be. Started doing drugs about 16. It pretty much went spiral downward. I did get pregnant when I was 21. Managed to keep myself clean, stop smoking. Had a beautiful baby girl. Somebody's birthday come up. She was about 1.5 years old, and I was like, oh sure, I can get high one more time. And from there it went same way, spiraled down. I ended up going to federal prison for 9 years. I left my daughter when she was 4. Did really good for the first year or so. Once again, got with the wrong guy, made the wrong choices, and ended up going to state prison, which was completely different than federal prison. I didn't think much of myself. Prison was prison. You know, I might be a little old for this. My whole thought was, how do I get out? Just, you know, what can I file to get out? What class can I take to get me a time cut? Anything like that. I don't even think I stopped completely thinking about using drugs at that point until my little guy walked in my room, and his name was Sheldon. He was a little short guy, extremely short, black lab. I think he might have been an English lab. Real sad, droopy eyes, super sweet, but very reserved. He didn't really like everybody. He was kind of like me, not unsure of everybody. When they brought him to me, he just kind of stood there and looked at me, sat down and was like, oh, what next? And I fell in love. I knew that he was going to be everything to me. I taught my little man, Sheldon, to turn on a light switch. But guess what? Sheldon was not tall enough to turn on the light switch. So I taught Sheldon to jump in a chair first and turn on the light switch. Sheldon, he trusted me. He knew I wasn't going to hurt him, and he really didn't work for other people very well. But he trusted me enough to know that I wouldn't let that chair slip, and I wouldn't let him fall, and he knew that if something happened, I was there. Michael, my client, had multiple disabilities. I couldn't even describe them all. I know on an average he has about 20 seizures a day. His mother does everything for him. Deb is amazing. She believes in that little boy like no other. Meeting them was, so scared. I was like, I'm gonna fail, oh my God, am I gonna be able to do this? What is Sheldon gonna do? And it ended up being something more amazing than I have ever seen it in my life. It was like Sheldon knew what that little boy needed. Sheldon made it so Michael could go in public and people didn't judge him. They didn't just stop and stare. People wanted to come up and be near him so they could see Sheldon. And they weren't mean. They didn't just walk by him like he wasn't there. They went up and they seen his dog, and they were more social, and the looks weren't so ugly. When Michael his machines would go off, if Deb wasn't in the room, Sheldon would go find her. He would also get up in a chair, his greatest trick in the world, and sit next to Michael in his wheelchair, and he would just kind of lay his head on his lap and just sit there. You know, even though Michael couldn't pet him or anything, Sheldon really didn't care. It was just a matter of, hey, here I am, let me help you. He changed my life. ICAN changed my life because they gave me a chance. And he believed in me. When it came time and I got the phone call that, hey, your house arrest is gonna go through, you're gonna get out. I'm not ready. I don't wanna go. I don't wanna leave ICAN. This is all I know. When I leave, I'm not gonna be able to talk to anybody. I was an emotional wreck. Yes, of course, everybody wants to be free, but at the same time, it's not that easy once you're so invested in something. I can't even say all the things that were going through me, but I was scared, I was angry. I wanted to finish what I started for the first time in my life. I didn't want to have to leave the program and not be able to have anything to do with the people who had supported me and believed in me. I just wasn't kind of ready to face the world. It was hard. Blessed as I was, ICAN still looked out for me, even though they couldn't watch over me anymore. They sent me with a couple job referrals. The Allen County SPCA was on there. The animal shelter. Oh my goodness, that's a job I have to have. I knew that that's where I needed to be. So I contacted Jessica Henry. I had barely been out a week. Blessed that I was, she said, sure, come on in and I'll talk to you. Oh man, first time I had to talk to somebody and explain them whatever all I'd been through. But when I went in there, she was like no other person I've probably met in my life. She was just normal. I didn't come through the door and she judged me for where I just came from because she knew. So I sat down, and I don't think I've ever sat down and been so completely honest with anyone before that point. I told her everything I had been through, everything I had done, and she gave me a job on the spot. It was amazing, heart-wrenching. I couldn't believe that somebody believed in me that much. And I'm sure that she had her reservations. Not sure if I was going to be what she thought I was, but I think in this amount of time that I've proven myself to her. I think so.
Bobbie's a remarkably genuine person, and from the moment I sat down with her in the interview, I knew she wanted someone to take a chance on her and to invest in her, and I knew that she wouldn't let me down. And every day that she has reported for duty to the Allen County SPCA, she has lived up to a standard she set for herself, a standard higher than even some of her peers, and she delivers every single day. Not a day goes by that I'm not grateful to ICAN for reaching out to me to let me know that Bobbie Buckles exists in this world, because she has been a gift, and I not only never would regret bringing her on board, but I'm grateful every single day that she's working with us.
Allen County SPCA is, I guess if you haven't ever worked there, it's not something that you can really explain. I fall in love 100 times a day. There are so many things that come through that shelter, that animals that just want you to love them, or animals that are scared. And everything that I learned in ICAN all came back. Granted, it's not a puppy, it's an adult, but in my own way, learning the things that I did in ICAN, I feel that they kind of talk to me, their body language, and I don't know, the little squeaky voice helps, and they make every day easier for me to deal with.
Bobbie's professional skill set is bigger than just behavior training. I know that at ICAN she was training service dogs, and we don't have a ton of need for that at the Allen County SPCA, but really her insight into animal behavior is what's so impressive, and her patience in working with the animals. And I would also say that her belief in the animals is what's so was what's so impressive. Bobbie believes that these animals can come around, and I often wonder if Bobbie sees the second chance that we give to these animals, and sometimes third chance that we give to them, as reflective of the chances that she's been offered in her life. I really don't know what it is that motivates her to believe so much in the ability of these animals, but she does. And she's the one who brings our most fearful dogs around. She's the one who's willing to work with the dogs that have some fear-based aggression issues. She works with them, and if those dogs can be saved, they are saved, thanks to the skill set that Bobbie Buckles brings to them.
At the shelter, I am an animal care specialist and also the behavior specialist for the kennels. Animal care specialist is a huge range. I mean, it's an animal shelter, so everybody has to help everybody. But my main duties are I open the kennels in the morning, which means all the dogs go out, everybody's kennel gets cleaned, fresh blankies, fresh water, fresh food. Medication, of course, if anyone's on meds, everyone comes in, kennels outside get cleaned. You kind of pay attention to the dogs that really like toys. You want to make sure you give them extra so they have stuff to do during the day. I also do the adoptions. There's 5 or 6 of us now. We'll do the interaction. So if people want walk through the kennels, you'll walk them through and explain the dogs to them, but always make sure and letting them know we're not going to spend too much time there. The kennels is an extremely stressful environment, so if we stand there too long or we talk to them, it's very upsetting. So I try to, get people through. If you want to see someone, then we'll pull them out. We let them interact. I also do the enrichment back there. Make sure every day the dogs get something different to do. Egg cartons with their dinner, paper towel rolls, puzzle feeders, whatever they like, something to keep them entertained. The one thing that I kept in the back of my mind was, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to go back. And when I went back to work at the shelter and I walked in them kennels and every dog back there barked at me like, oh my God, where have you been? I didn't want to get high. I was already high. I didn't need to. They love me and I love all of them. I didn't need to get high. If I was to win the lottery, ICAN would be probably the only program I would support. If it wasn't for the ICAN program, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't be the person I am. It is the most rewarding program, most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life.